What's up, my comic comrades? Issue 2 of my brand new comic series, Astonishing Times, released this morning and is officially available for all of you to take into your eye holes. So to give you a little teaser for where the story last left off and where it's going, we're here to recap issue 1 of Astonishing Times and then give you a sneak peek at issue 2. Now, for those of you who are hearing about this for the first time and aren't even sure what we're talking about, yes, I have co-created and written a comic book for Comixology Originals with my partners in crime, Frank Barbiere and artist Ruairí Coleman. It's a 5-issue miniseries that follows a reporter named Noah Sanz in a world where superheroes are commonplace and they don't shock and impress people anymore. And again, we're going to give you a summary recap of issue 1 today. So if you haven't already, you'll want to grab both issues and read them for yourselves to get the full story. You can pick up both issues 1 and 2 of Astonishing Times right now exclusively on Comixology and Kindle by clicking our link in the description. I can tell you that as far as story goes, issue 2 really acts as the first big ticking climb on the roller coaster, friends, and things are only going to start ramping up from here. So once issue 3 hits, the free fall begins. Anyway, let's get started with a full recap of issue 1 before your first look at issue 2. Obviously, it's nothing but spoilers galore for Astonishing Times issue 1 from here on. So if you don't want it spoiled and you want to read it for yourself, now's the time to do that. So with that covered, on with the show. Now in our episode titled The New League of Heroes, I broke down the first 5 pages of this comic. So today, we're going to pick up where we last left off in that episode. So watch that episode if you haven't already, but here's the super quick version. Essentially, the first 5 pages establish the world this comic takes place in, with narration from Noah's column where he says, "No one looks up anymore. Some of the greatest heroes have already faded into history, but we can't forget what they did. It's been 15 years since the cataclysm, and most people seem to have forgotten it even happened. There are still heroes among us." And this year, with this column, I'm going to be working to remind us why that matters. Forget the shirts, the comics, the cartoons. It's time we remember what our heroes stand for, to be inspired, to look up again, or else we may risk losing their legacy forever. On the next page, we see Noah's typing all this as part of his column, finishing it off by saying, "So next time you're on the street, on the subway, in your car, don't forget to look up." This is Noah Sanz reminding you that we live in astonishing times. Immediately after this, one of his coworkers comes to his cubicle saying, "Hey Noah, Jerry wants to see you." He gets up saying, "Oh, already? Thought he wouldn't read my article until after lunch. He must have really loved it." But on the next page, we see an unhappy Jerry saying, "There's no easy way to say this, kid. Circulation is down. Times are tough. And capes, they don't move papers. It's time to put your column to bed. You had a good run, but we just don't have room for it anymore." Noah, now clearly upset, responds by saying, "Jerry, we need Astonishing Times more than ever. People need to be reminded of the heroes that walk among us and what they stand for." Jerry just looks at him sternly saying, "People get all the excitement they need from the sports page. You're a good kid, Noah, but you're too wide-eyed about this hero crap." Noah then gets angry saying, "You can't do this. You owe it to my father." Jerry then says, "Noah, your old man and me, fine. One more month. You've got 1 month to come up with the best story you've ever written. We need sensation. We need online buzz. You do that, you keep your column." Noah then walks out all happy saying, "You're the best, Jerry. I'll get to work right away." Jerry, scratching his head while looking down in the background, says, "Yeah, go get him, kid. At least you'll go down with a bang." Elsewhere downtown, we see 2 cops guarding a crime scene, with one of the cops saying, "Do you think it's really him?" The female cop asks, "Why did he live in a dump like this? These guys were famous." The other cop answers, "For anonymity." "Why would you live in some fancy castle in the sky?" A big sign for all your enemies saying, "A superhero lives here." The one cop replies, "I wouldn't live here, that's for sure. We're talking about Gold Rush. He's one of the greats. This crappy place probably doesn't even have a dishwasher." At which point, a grungy looking middle-aged man comes up to the cops asking, "Excuse me, officers, what's going on here? Did something happen?" The cop replies, "Area is off limits, Gramps. We've got a dead superhero in there. Real spooky. You should run off and get a sandwich or something." As the man walks away, he says sarcastically, "Yes, I'll leave you to your work, officers." But we see on one of the following panels, this homeless looking man goes around back where he starts looking up at one of the apartment floors. He then takes off his beanie and starts stretching while assessing the area. Then on the next page, we see him start to jump on the dumpster and off the side of the walls, parkouring his way up to the 3rd floor of the building, which obviously tells us this isn't a normal person. But we also see that while this dude is super skilled, his age is taking a toll on him as he complains about his body aches on the way up. Anyway, he then proceeds to sneak into the window of the apartment unknown to one of the cops guarding the place. But then one of the cops says, "Hey, I think I hear something," as he shines a flashlight on the taped up door where he sees nothing. But on the next panel, as the cop walks away from the entryway, we see this mysterious man who broke in is in fact behind the door, telling us again this mystery dude has some serious skills or possibly some cloaking tech. After the coast is clear, he comes out to investigate Gold Rush's body, kneeling down next to the corpse, just saying, But remember, from the first 2 pages of this issue, this isn't Gold Rush, but rather a Gold Rush cosplayer. The cops just think it's Gold Rush because of how badly burnt the body is. Anyway, we are taken back to Noah where we see him standing in front of his apartment door saying, "All right, just keep it together, just tell her the truth. It's okay," before freaking out again. I'll also give you an insider's Easter egg here, as the apartment number on Noah's door is my oldest daughter's birthday, 6/3/17. We actually put a lot of fun little personal Easter eggs in the series like that, so now that's between us and you guys. Anyway, while Noah is trying to work up the courage to talk to his wife Renee, she opens up the door saying, you know, if you're gonna stand out here all night, maybe at least text me first. Wouldn't want to wait up while you finish whatever important thing it is you're doing out here. He then hugs her saying, sorry babe, I was, and she interrupts him by saying, just in your own head. I know, it's part of your charm. He then puts his camera down saying, I've been working on my article all day. I think I really have something. Maybe. She basically says, so Jerry finally promoted you to senior? Did you go in the office and tell him to show you the money? He looks at her like crap, but luckily for him, his daughter Harper comes running around the corner holding an action figure saying, I'm flying like Infinite. She then runs in his arms and he picks her up saying, so can you tell me who else flies? She answers, Dr. Flight. He then says, that's right. And what does he fight for? She answers, justice. Truth. And this is another creator's fun fact for you, as we framed a lot of this little girl's behaviors around my own daughter, including the way she says truth instead of truth. Noah's wife and daughter are also named after my wife and daughter, as we use my wife's middle name Renee and my daughter's middle name Harper. Anyway, back to the story. After getting a glimpse at how important Noah's family is to him, we see him head to his home office to get to work on what has to be the best article he's ever written in his life. And over the course of a 9-panel grid layout, we see Noah trying desperately to think of something to knock their socks off, with him ultimately saying, I'm so screwed. Eventually, he gets up to check on his daughter, giving her a kiss while she sleeps. He then looks at an old picture of him and his father saying, I know you see me, I'm sorry, I'll just never be as good as you. How did you do it, Dad? And after he finishes his sentence, he gets a text message from an unknown number that says, I found your section in the paper. There's something you need to hear. Murder. Meet me at 57th and Schuster. Come alone. Noah then says, murder? What is this? What would Dad do? As he puts on his jacket and tells his wife, gotta go. A work thing. I'll be back soon, babe. On the next page, we see Noah downtown waiting in the rain, staring at his phone, saying, this is so stupid. And as he sees a guy walk past him, he asks, hey, you didn't happen to send me a text message, did you? The guy just looks at him and flicks him off. At which point, a voice from behind him says, you're here. Noah jumps saying, whoa, yeah, how did you get my number? But the man just ignores the question and says, we have much to discuss. Noah then says, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna need some info, like who are you? What exactly is this about? But the mystery man just walks away from him mid-sentence, leaving Noah to chase behind him saying, hey, come on, you can't just walk away before we, and the dude interrupts him saying, I told you, time is of the essence. They then arrive at the crime scene this man broke into earlier, where he tells Noah, Gold Rush is inside, he's dead. To which Noah responds, what? That can't be right. It'd be all over the news. The man says, follow me. Noah tells him, you can't go in there. At which point the man says, no more noise. You'll call attention to us. Noah starts freaking out saying, we can't be here. I've got to call someone. So the dude just grabs Noah by the shirt saying, what are you doing? This isn't a Game Boy. There's something you need to know. But before he finishes his sentence, 2 cops come up from behind them saying, freeze, hands up. With Noah responding, thank God. The cops then say, put the weapons down. With the mystery dude responding, there were no officers scheduled for patrol tonight, as the cops opened fire on them. We then see Noah saying, oh God, Renee, Harper, I'm sorry, Dad. But on the next panel, we see this mystery dude deflected all the bullets with a sword. And we also see he has a robotic arm. At which point, this dude starts going to town on the cops, with Noah saying, oh my God, it's you. As Noah watches him fight, he says, KoKin, it's KoKin. That's right, this older dude is KoKin, one of the most elite and badass heroes in this universe. KoKin then grabs by the collar saying, tell me who sent you. As we see something's wrong with the cop's eyes as they're glowing a pinkish violet. Meanwhile, Noah is saying, I can't do anything. I'm not a hero, as we see KoKin holding a cop above the ground with one arm. We then see his partner behind KoKin raise his gun, ready to shoot him. But again, this is KoKin. 2 cops attacking him is the equivalent of a toddler going up against the rock. So he senses the cop from behind and shoots him with an electrical venom bite from the hilt of his sword. But after he does this, the eyes of the other cop KoKin is holding in the air start to roll back as he says, can't think. We then see and realize both these cops are being mind controlled, and as they snap out of it, one of the cops says, all units, something is going on. Don't know how we got here, but officers down on Schuster. Noah then grabs KoKin by the shoulder saying, hey man, we gotta get out of here. KoKin just stares at him before running off saying, try to keep up. We've got work to do. As the cops lay there saying, how did we get here? Noah chases KoKin and says, I can't believe it. It's really him. It's KoKin. This is it. My big break. Investigating alongside one of the greatest heroes of our generation. You wanted something special, Jerry? Well, this is gonna make one hell of a story. Elsewhere, on the final page of the issue, we see a woman with mind-controlling powers saying, damn it, lost connection. This did not go as expected. A voice then says, Geraldine? She replies, oh, I wasn't expecting anyone, but please come in. And then the mystery figure from the first page shows up with Gold Rush saying, may I introduce? As the real Gold Rush interrupts him saying, Gold Rush at your service. I'm here to help. With the mystery killer saying, yes, it's time to save the world. And with that, issue 1 ends. So how crazy is that, friends? Gold Rush is apparently working with the being that killed the cosplayer Gold Rush to fake his death. But why did Gold Rush team up with the mystery killer to fake his death? Why does the mystery dude say it's time to save the world? Well, obviously I know, but as promised, here's a sneak peek at where things are headed in issue 2. The issue starts off as we see a city skyline with the caption saying, "In the dark Catholic district of Ellis City," as we see 2 thugs break into a car. Captions continue to say, "Where evil takes root, one man brings fear to the hearts of criminals. He is KoKin, dark defender of justice." Is he man or demon incarnate? KoKin utilizes many amazing weapons and tools in his crusade against injustice. Be on the lookout as he scours the skies in his technology-enhanced skyplane. Evil is the sickness and KoKin is the cure the city needs. From his amazing lair, he wages war on crime and strikes fear in the hearts of all who do evil. And as we get the last panel of page 2, we see that this is actually Noah reading an old KoKin comic book. He then says, "Well, I never thought I'd actually get to see this in person. It definitely looks different," as you see him on page 3 holding the comic book looking at how the lair looks in person, with tarps and dust over everything as if the place hasn't been used in years. Noah walks towards KoKin wiping dust off of things as he says, "Still pretty cool, but what are we doing here?" KoKin pulls the tarp off of an old computer saying, "I need my tools." KoKin then tells him this is the CCPU, Criminal Central Processing Unit, a state-of-the-art database routed through the central server of the police department. It was one of my greatest achievements. This data, it must be analyzed. And I need you to see that, but before KoKin finishes a sentence, he looks at Noah, who's taking pictures of the lair. Noah, seeing that he's annoying KoKin, says, "Oh, sorry, is it cool if I take a picture? I won't post it anywhere," giving KoKin an awkward smile. KoKin, unamused, just stares at him sternly saying, "Enough, you need to see this." Noah comes over saying, "Whoa, is that DNA? Is there like an electron microscope in there or something?" KoKin answers, "Yes, something like that, but look at the sample extracted from the corpse in the apartment." Noah then tells him, "You took a sample? From what part?" KoKin replies, "Don't worry, I was discreet." KoKin continues to say, "Please focus, I kept detailed files on all persons of interest." And if you look at the sample closely, Noah interrupts saying, "It's different, so that means," and KoKin says, "The body we found is not Gold Rush." KoKin then tells him, but someone went through quite the ordeal to make it seem as if it was. Along with the costume, the body cells were manipulated at a subatomic level, but the crime computer cannot be fooled. Noah says, "This is huge, a conspiracy involving the fake deaths of heroes. They could still be out there. I could see why you brought me in." KoKin tells him, "Actually, we need to discuss this." Noah replies, "Trust me, KoKin, I'm a great reporter. I could crack this wide open." KoKin is all like, "I'm not interested in this story. I brought you here because I need to ask you about your father," as Noah looks at him wide-eyed and shocked. And that, my comic comrades, brings our tease to an end. But the good news is that, as I said earlier, issue 2 is out right now, so you can go read the rest of the issue for yourself and find out what happens next. I will say though, as you just saw from the first 5 pages, issue 2 really starts to build Noah and KoKin's relationship, which is one of my favorite parts of our story. And like I said before, we have a lot of cool surprises in store as the comic isn't what it may seem. So you're just gonna have to keep reading and find out what we have in store for you. I know I'm super excited to get all your reactions as the series progresses. Also, you can learn a lot more about Noah and KoKin and their relationship in the Character Spotlight episode we posted for them right here on the Variant channel a few weeks ago. You can watch that right here, and I recommend you do so because it's full of insider details. Anyway, there you have it, friends, a summary of issue 1 and a tease of issue 2 for Astonishing Times. For those of you who didn't and decided to watch this recap anyway, I hope it got you intrigued and invested enough to read the second issue and the rest of the series. And that's gonna bring today's episode of Variant to a close, but if you like today's video, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It always helps the channel out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.